Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Hello, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for clicking on my channel. Hello, Ivy is here, and all the other little fun stuff I love to say. Hello to is it Amaka Amacha Amachukwa. Hello, thank you so much for being here. Ray Raquel, Hawkeye Helen, Connie Bomber, Joan Garcia, Sonia Johnson High, Gwendolyn Daniels, Lydia Washington, Black Queen. Oh, that must have been kind of juicy. What was that about? Did I say Joan Garcia? Elizabeth Daniels. Hello, Marshar. What is it? Rosa Roberts. Hi. Mary H. Hello. By the way, you guys, oh my goodness, what a waste of time. I watched the last episode of Downton Abbey, and Downton Abbey has become so. It, that last episode, once I start, I feel obliged to finish. But let me just say, it was awful. Awful, awful, awful. Now, if you have watched Downton Abbey from the beginning, like I have, then go ahead and finish watching it. But I promise you, um, it is awful. It kind of reminds me of the last season of The Crown, a monumental waste of time. But again, I'm very much of the school of thought that if you start it, you may as well finish it. And I will say, if you have started any of those franchises, if you will, go ahead and see it through. Why would you? Why would you not do it? You know what I'm saying? So go ahead and see it through. But to be forewarned is to be forearmed, and I want to arm all of you with the knowledge that that was a waste of time. And because of how busy life has been for me in the past couple years, I don't have a lot of leisure time to spare. Um, but it seems as becoming a YouTuber is a new passion of mine, right? So sometimes when you guys are saying, "Oh, Baron, you need to rest, you need to rest, get your rest," sometimes I exhaust myself. This is true, but I promise you, I truly enjoy this work. So, um, it's been a pleasant surprise. It's been a chance for me to yet again uh, reinvent myself. So, um, I didn't come armed with as much of the talent as a lot of people have come to the social media. But the beauty of it is, you can be a complete novice and do this work, as evident by myself, and and it works out. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, I so I don't watch a lot of television or anything like I would have in the past, and I consider watching Crown a pleasure, the Crown that is, as well as work, and it was pretty bad. I mean, I finished it a couple days ago, and I'm still thinking about how awful it was, how absolutely wretched. I mean, it was just like, I heard that Peter, what's his name, say that it was a love letter to the Queen. I heard him say that. And that is still very much true. And then, of course, as Petal had reminded us yesterday that Robert Lacey was involved, I'm like, oh, yeah, that character, Robert Lacey. So you combine all of that. I don't know, because you know what, guys, we're not there yet. We are not there yet when it comes to breaking the chokehold that this institution has on life as we know it, especially when you consider, the way the royal family seems to have so much sway over the um, the American media. But people are coming to their senses. People are waking up and realizing the older generation is truly dying off. The greatest generation is all but gone, and then this older generation is slowly dying off. Not to wish anything bad on anyone, but you get my meaning. And so what you have left is there's younger people who don't care for all of the fairy tale that has been sold to us with the British royal family, the British the whole aristocracy institution and the landed gentry and such. None of that stuff means as much today as it did just 6 months ago, and even a year before that. And the Queen dying is not helping their cause in the least bit. And I'm glad for the fact that like so many other people, I'm not em- I'm not embarrassed to say that there was a time. Oh my goodness, this is why I tell you guys I should never look at Twitter while I'm working because every so often an image of someone like Camilla will pop into my peripheral, and then I cannot not see it, if you know what I mean. So, but anyway, the newest episode of Archetypes is out, and oh my god, it was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. The audacity of activism, the audacity of activism. Let that sink in, if you will. The audacity of activism. Um, okay. Uh-oh. How did I get ahead like that? Okay, there we are. I'm sorry. I thought I was someplace else. But yeah, the audacity of activism. That I have to tell you, last week was still my fave so far. But this one has ranked right up there in my thinking because of other reasons. And that's because, as you guys know, I have been very I spoke about what's happening in Iran, and I guess, I won't call myself a Bolshevik or something like that. But when it comes to revolution, when it comes to a movement of people, when people are seeking justice, that has always been something very near and dear to my heart. So to see that people are, well, actually, it's young girls, school age girls, that have taken to the streets of Iran to rid themselves of their head covers and such. Well, this was a perfect time for that, because Megan, did Megan say it? I believe that at this time, the government in Iran has decided that they will send a message uh, to um, anybody else who decides that they want to protest, that over 15,000 people have been slated for extermination. 15,000 people. 15,000 people. And as we are emerging from a global pandemic, and you think about that huge number of people from that population, which is a large population, but still, the idea that they're gonna murder that many people is shocking. So I have to say that Megan is taking up this conversation at this time when we need it the most is 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 really another demonstration that the Sussexes are not just playing it safe when it comes to their politics, and that they plan to get involved. And as I mentioned so many times before, that Harry and Meghan are not living in a gated community behind these walls and such, like some um, palace in some low-ranking country somewhere. um, they're living in the Western industrialized world, but they will talk about things, talk about injustice, talk about the rights of women, and of course the disenfranchised, like with the inequity with the vaccines. That was something that some people thought, well, they should not approach this subject. Who do they think they are? And they were unmoved by the criticism, and they just well, and this is why the what is it, Ripples of Hope, or whatever that award is, kind of a weird name for me, but this is why they have been nominated, because they are on the forefront of of activism, but in a way that is still respectful to Prince Harry's position, to the Duchess of Sussex position. They have not said or done anything aside for the Oprah interview. I couldn't see why anybody would be upset with them in the institution of the family. But of course, that doesn't stop anybody. Even the Queen, who is supposed to be politically neutral, petitioned the government for things that she desired, or things that she considered changing, or in other words, just to make sure that everything was going her way. Even the Queen intervened when she felt necessary. So um, yeah, you can't even put that on them. And so, and criticizing the family, that really is nothing new. That's not something new. I mean, um, Prince Charles, the Duchess of York, everybody's had their say about the upbringing in that family. So you can't even try to rest that criticism upon them, because they haven't done anything that the next person in that family has not done in one way or the other. And I guarantee you, you won't see Meghan and Harry on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Um, if anything, you'll see them on a show called I Am the Most Influential Royal Alive Today. Keep those other royals away from me. Now, I can see them doing a show like that, but oh man, I tell you, every Tuesday, I never know how much I'm going to have to really think about life, and think about how I move about this world, how other people move about this world. And that is the beauty of the archetypes, is one walks away and really examines the way we think of ourselves and think of other people in our lives. And if that is the point of it, then I have to say that it's a win-win. Um, yeah, the Duchess of Sussex, all I can say is, when it comes to the women, either born in that family, or women that have married into that family, her star is only eclipsed by that of Princess Diana, who was the first royal to modernize the court of St. James. I'd have to say Princess Diana was the first to modernize that family. And then, of course, there's the Sussexes. That is, and even if they pretend otherwise, you cannot deny at least anybody of reason could not deny that that family will be forever changed because of Harry and Meghan. And the only way change was so obvious was because the Duchess of Sussex um, has really given a modern interpretation of what a working royal woman could be. And of course, for that, she was roundly rejected, and the Sussexes were ran out of the family. And then, of course, there is the modern interpretation of being a royal princess or a duchess, because to show you how correct everything is, every week we see that Kate, the Princess of Wales, Katie, it seems like she's got a stylist on call. Megan just did that. I want to do that too. It seems like she mimics or parrots or whatever you want to call it. She's trying to walk in some very very well made shoes, but with tragic results. Stephen Holmes, thank you so much for the super chat. As you can see, I'm in a chatty mood today. And thank you. I'm sorry, the super sticker. And thank you for being a member. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. But yeah, I seem to be in a chatty mood today. So before I go through my slides, let me take a look at some of your comments. Well, greetings to you too, Devani Gordon. Let me see. I'm sorry. No, what is? There we go. Um, Greetings, Baron, and all the fearfully and was that fearfully and wonderfully made squaddies. Our faves are is that fierce? Well, anyway, our faves are more than conquerors; they are overcomers through Christ. One love, uh, Christ who loves us all. Thank you so much for those beautiful words, Devani. I greatly appreciate hearing that. And thank you for sharing that heartfelt prayer with the squatties. Let me see. Oh my God. Diana was in Rolling Stone magazine sometime back. She was stunning. Vanna Jordan, I did not see that, but I'm going to have to look that up. Okay. Hello, Rosa Roberts, who wants to say hi to a few people. Hi, B10 Pal. Okay, I guess that's the thing for you. If I'm on later, then you can join us in the chat. All right, I like that. Raven 299. Hello, beautiful squatties. Thank you. Thank you. I am quite attractive. Thank you so much. I mean, making allowances for wear and tear. I'm not to be had for the price of a cocktail. But I've had my. I think I still got it. Maybe. Maybe. You won't see me marked down, that's for sure. Hey, Church Nelly, Elaine Parker, hello. Okay, okay, so let me move on to my slides then. All right, Jamila, Jamil. I hope, yeah, Jamila Jamil. How lovely she is! I have to tell you guys, as she was speaking, what I loved about her, and I could see, is she married or is that guy her boyfriend? Her partner, whatever he is to her, her partner. I could see why he is absolutely well, I could imagine that he is absolutely in love with her because she is a force of nature. And I noticed that as she was speaking, her inflection became very rapid and intense. And yeah, that was okay. Um, I, I see here. This is supposed to have been written by Jamila Jamil. Again, I said it was supposed to be written by her. I didn't get a chance to go and verify this, but I see no reason why it's not hers. It says, I am on Megan's podcast, Archetypes, Spotify this week, and I did not hold back about misogyny that seeps through our media into our society and is weaponized to silence, distract, and destroy rebellious and powerful women. From the moment I first called the British media out for racism and misogyny regarding their treatment of Meghan, I had a target on my back. Suddenly, I was being harassed and maligned online. My family were being stalked by tabloid journalists for dirt on me, and I had to deal with constant lies and smear campaigns to discredit me in every way as a human being for years. They can't kill threatening women anymore. So they just killed their credibility now. And sadly, this was done not just by men, but by far mostly by middle class white women. It was a maddening time and really sickening and scary to see how the media works to dismantle whistleblowing humans and narratives. I was being terrorized into silence and submission, but I didn't back down, and I will never back down. I regret nothing. I would do it all over again. I am still here. Meghan is still here. And we are speaking our minds as free women who no longer are prisoners of the myth that women have to be liked by everyone to survive or thrive. I said it in the podcast and I say it again now. I am not here to be liked, believed, or understood. I am here to be me, to push myself to be better according to my standards and my pace that I chose for myself, or that I choose for myself, not the BS, impossible standards of patriarchy has brainwashed men and women into thinking we are supposed to live up to. And as they say, perfection is the enemy of progress, which is why it is forced upon women. We are told we have no space to try, to learn, to fail, to redeem, but that's not true. I'm still here because it's not true. I reserve the right to change and grow and exist in contradictions to patriarchal law. And so effing do you. so um there was that point in Archetypes when she was speaking very loud, very strong, and Megan kind of got the case of the giggles because I would imagine that one of the big things that attracts anyone to Jamila is she has quite a spirit about herself. And if you're the kind of person who is not threatened by someone who is very spirited, someone who can be very loud and boisterous about things that are important to them, then of course that is like a huge selling point on her personality. Well, I mean, not that she's trying to sell herself to people, but I'm just saying it's one of those things that you can find very attractive if you're not threatened by people or by women in particular, and also a woman of color who decides to project their emotions in a very loud and proud way, which, of course, some people have that little voice inside of them that says, tear her down. She's too boisterous and too proud. Somebody needs to deal with her. And unfortunately, in society, there is quite a lot of that. But my biggest argument against belittling or dressing down any woman is, why would God give a woman a mind that is complex, intellectual, problem solving? Why would God give a woman a very complex mind capable of science and art and everything in between so that she can draw herself into a tight little ball and be half of herself or less than herself just so that someone with a very fragile ego won't somehow feel threatened by her? It just doesn't make sense. And it was like she said, that misogyny and such doesn't make sense, or for instance, racism doesn't make sense. I feel the same way. And she said she gets that kind of lump. She gets physically ill. For me, it's kind of a lump in my throat when I see people try to suppress a person's talents and ability just because they feel threatened or jealous or whatever they're feeling about what someone else is capable of is troubling to me because there's just so many ways that men, women, or anybody, uh, whatever pronoun you want to use, um, there's so many talents that people have that can contribute to this world. It seems like such a waste of time to try to suppress those things, or even consider suppressing someone's ability. Like slavery was such a waste of time. There's so many things that were created in the United States, an industrial society, by people of color that didn't even have freedom, and then by people who lived through Jim Crow. There's so many inventions that came from African American people. Could you imagine how the United States would have flourished during the Victorian age, or during the turn of the century or whatever, if there was not that weight of oppression on black people in the United States? And that's why it's such a waste of time. And that is why I feel so obliged to speak out as much as I do, because there's a lot of things that bothers me. But to take care of my mental health, just like I always encourage you guys, you have to take care of your mental health. You have to know when to leave a fight for another day, because if you have a complete collapse mentally, then you won't be able to help anybody, including yourself. So you can't take on all the world's ills, and there's comes a time when you have to let someone else have the fight. So, but anyway, according to Grazia magazine, um, I chose this one because it was recommended, or should I say, um, the royal suitor referred to this one. So I feel like it's quite safe in that case. It says, in arguably her most powerful and timely podcast episode, Meghan Markle has spoken to two incredible women in a discussion called The Audacity of Activism, on how movements from female empowerment have historically been undermined and disproportionately punished to make an example of those on the front line and deter other women from fighting for their freedom, which is exactly what Jamila was saying. Is that she said that I've been incredibly outspoken, and she said that she in defending Meghan, that put a target on her. And how many times have we seen that? That when someone speaks up for Meghan, or even let's even talk about Harry. Of course, Harry was the jewel of the family for a long time, until Meghan came along, and then of course, as poorly as he was considered in the family, it really became quite obvious when he decided that Meghan was the one. And so from there, of course, Harry was attacked, and even some of those right wing groups said that he was a race traitor. And it was horrible language that was used against Harry, just because he fell in love with the Duchess of Meghan Markle, who became the Duchess of Sussex. And in spite of everything Meghan had going for herself before she married into that family, none of that mattered. On one hand, some of the media was praising her for everything that she had done before she got to that family. But on the other hand, there were those elements within the tabloid community. Speaking of tabloids, I don't know, and I'm not even, I promised myself I'm not going to look. But Megan made reference to the suffragette movement, and she mentioned that one of the newspapers there, which is actually a tabloid, was the ones who coined the phrase suffragette, which they say when you put that et on the end of something, it implies that something is small and, as we say in France, la petite, or as we say in Spain, or is what do they use that word in Spain, or is that just for South America? Poquito, small, tiny. Um, yeah, that she said that that was actually a derogatory term, and that the writer from one of the British newspapers who came up with that phrase meant that as a put down, but the word was actually considered a way to empower, well, to motivate women, to empower women. And so then the word was actually used as the name of the movement, the suffragette movement, which again, much like the women in Iran, even though it wasn't as bloody in comparison, in Iran, even though these are modern times, it was there were women who died. I remember they had that hunger strike, or yeah, I guess it was a hunger strike. When they were in jail, if I recall, I think they were force fed. Um, but yeah, it got ugly, and of course, the poor lady who threw herself in front of the king's racehorse or carriage, or whatever it was. But yeah, it there were women at that time who were willing to die. They were willing to die. They were willing to sacrifice their lives for the sake of other women. That is absolutely incredible. The amount of self-sacrifice. So, but yeah, that was it. I tell you, there was just so much with archetypes today, so much, and the timing is perfect, and I'm so glad that this evolved today, because I I like I said, I feel a certain way about what's going on in Iran, um, and it's unfortunate that there wasn't as much attention given to the women that were kidnapped in, was it Nigeria, that they were kidnapped. The girls were taken out of school and forced into marriage with their captors and stuff. Um, it was it, we s- had we were forced to sit back and watch this happen, and nothing much was done about it, and it seemed like the government was reluctant to get involved. And there was a whole lot of politics with that is tough to explain, but that was another one of those things where you say to yourself, these are modern times. How can something like that happen? And but it did. It can happen, and it did happen. And even here in the U.S., taking away a woman's right to choose, we're like the only country that I know of that abortion is the annual election day issue. More so with presidential elections and midterm elections, but seriously, it is 2022. We will watch um, asylum seekers drown at sea or die in the deserts of the Southwest, and we barely bat an eye as a society. But the idea that people are 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 being massacred, it doesn't seem to gather our attention. So um, we had a lot of work to do as a society. Let me see. Joan Commonwealth said, I'm sorry, was happy that she gave the Iranian actress a platform to reach their citizens. Absolutely. Absolutely. That it was remarkable. Yeah, and I'm going to get to that. So let me take a look here. In the Archetypes episode, Megan spoke about the Iranian actor and activist Showa Shora um let me see, Agadashlu. Oh, that's not bad. Agadashlu, I got it. Who bravely demonstrated in the first modern wave of Iranian resistance against the Islamic regime back in the late 70s. Well, a lot of us are old enough to remember that when the Shah was deposed, and I believe he was in the United States. Did he flee to France, or anyway? He ended up in the United States, and he died in an American hospital. Now, um, people had a lot of freedom at the time of the Shah, but the Shah was pretty much a puppet of the West. And they actually had a president that was democratically elected, but that president was overthrown because there was the Ayatollah Khomeini, who, if memory serves, he was living in exile in France because of the Shah. And when he came back, the theocracy that exists today um, evolved from his return to Iran. And so, um, I mean, oh yeah, okay. So the democratically elected president was actually was he deposed by the Shah, and then of course when they had the revolution against the Shah with his torture chambers, secret police, so on and so forth, and doing the bidding of the Western big oil companies, then he eventually was deposed. And there's a big story about how that happened and why people were so angry with him. It had to do with him spending a lot of money while people were living in poverty, and I won't get into that right now. But I've seen something about that where he threw this huge event and invited all the world leaders and royalty, created a tent city in the desert, and spent millions of dollars at a time when the country could least afford it. And so that created a bit of apathy, and then he was driven out of power. And enters Ayatollah Khomeini, who returned to Iran. And of course, the ones who suffered the worst were the women. The women got the shortest end of the stick. So from there is where those protests that she spoke about came from. So that is my loose interpretation of history. I don't recall completely the timetable involved, but chronologically, I think I was a bit off, but I still think you got the point. Is that eventually it became this theocracy, and women were forced to cover. And as the actress and activist mentioned, is that at the time in Iran before the revolution, women were very free. I mean, you when mini skirts were in vogue, you would see mini skirts on the streets of Iran. Um, they were very westernized, if you will, very westernized. And I don't mean that to sound, like it, that was a big privilege to be westernized, but in terms of the way things operated, just imagine Dubai without anybody having to cover their hair. That was what it was like. It was like Dubai, just like Cuba. Cuba was a very, swanky place to be, but there was also a lot of racism in Cuba, so you had the good and the bad with that. But yeah, it was another place. It was a whole nother experience, and a lot of the problems that evolved, you can blame that on the Western oil companies and also the borders that you see in that region of the world, like Iran and Iraq, those borders, those were borders get put in place by the West, not by the people. Because, well, anyway, it's a lot of history there, a lot of history, and I can't cover it all, but there's so many explanations for why the first revolution happened, and then of course the protests that evolved after that. In the interview comes at the point of time just last week, the Iranian parliament voted to execute protesters currently in custody to send a hard message to rebels against the regime. It means that more than 14,000 people who have been arrested could be subject to death penalty, most of them women and girls. And speaking of which, I love, love, love when Shora, oh gosh, I just heard Megan say her name, but I love when she said that her husband came home and saw that she was so unhappy and that she was sitting in the dark crying. And he told her, "You are not happy here. I don't like to see you unhappy. I will do whatever it takes for you to leave so that you can be happy. I don't want to see you like this." And so he literally provided the means and opportunity for her to leave. And she said that that was the kindest thing that he had ever done for her, the most thoughtful thing, and probably saved her life. Probably saved her from a lifetime of being under the weight of suppression from the government, and of course, being mistreated by society as a whole. And then, of course, for her husband, he could not be free himself if he made a way for his wife to have freedom. He himself would have probably gotten in trouble with the regime or the police or whatever. So, um, first and foremost, he helped her, and and I'm sure that he probably had a family further down the line. But either way you look at it, they had to go their separate ways. I don't know what happened to her husband after that, and I guess he stayed or whatever and had to make a life for himself. But she was free and able to be the artist and activist that she is today. And that was an amazing, um, generous sacrifice to make in order to save her from the pain and humiliation of watching Iran turn into this, uh, I guess, police state based on religious law, and that she would have to cover her head. And she mentioned being stoned, and that she was hit in the head with a rock. She could have been killed that day. She said they threw stones and pieces of bricks and anything that they could get their hand on, just based on what the crowd thought was a slight to whomever. That was incredible. I was like, I mean, I was literally, I listened to it twice, by the way, you guys. I actually listened to it twice, and I was so drawn into the conversation because it ticked all the boxes of things that I have been concerned about with that movement. And to hear someone who lived in Iran and who could testify what it was like before the regime took over was very interesting. Super chat from Shelly L. Thank you so much. The suffragette suffered broken teeth, internal bleeding, vomited, choked for food entering their lungs when being forced fed. The night of terror when 33 women were beaten and tortured while in custody. My God. Yes. Yes. I I don't know what I would. I'm sure it was a documentary. I don't know what I was watching when I saw. Um, to read about it is one thing, but I saw how they took those funnels and of course, this was all, um, and it was a movie, and I don't remember which one. And they began to force those funnels down their throat so that they could force feed them. I mean, it's not like a hypodermic needle, and or what? No, I'm well, modern day how they use a tube down your nose, down your nasal passage. It wasn't that. This was, literally forcing some type of porridge or something down their throats, and it was very violent. And they were willing to starve to death in order to make their voices heard, to perpetuate the cause. That was very, very painful to watch, and I don't remember where I saw it, but I do recall seeing like a reenactment of what the women went through, and yeah, and of course, as they were out protesting and marching and stuff, they were subject to a lot of violence from just about anyone, and they probably wouldn't have been punished for it. So, all that for freedom was worth it to the people who sacrificed. Thank you so much for sharing that, Shelly Ellen. Thank you so much for the super chat. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. And you guys that are watching, please, I am seeing over and over that nobody's hitting that like button. Please make sure you hit the like button. It helps this channel so much. And it is also greatly appreciated by Royal Sussex. Okay, so in the archetype, oh, I'm sorry, the interview comes at a poignant time. Just last week, okay, I did that already. The generation is in, okay, this generation is in the internet generated and very well, generation that is. And oh my goodness, that just moved. Oh man, these ads are popping up. Okay, sorry about that. The generation is the internet generation and very well educated. Shora, who left Iran after a, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, the article that I'm looking at, the ads are moving all around, so I guess they don't want me to do this. Okay. The generation has witnessed everything that the generation has never witnessed before. We are, you know what? Oh my God. OMG. Sorry about that. Oh man. Let me refresh and maybe that'll go away. Let me refresh this page. Because the minute I put my eyes on it, then the ads kept jumping in. Okay. This generation is the internet generation and very well educated Shoah who left Iran after a new regime took power in 1979 told Meghan, this generation has witnessed everything that my generation had never witnessed before. We were politically naive. Oh, yes, I remember her saying that. We were politically naive. And when she said that, I was like, I felt bad when she said that because I'm just like, how could you not be? Because if something like that, something as severe as that happened here in the United States, how in the world would we have been prepared for that? If well, let me just say this: um, for all of the brutality that is going on with the women in Iran right now, I could only say that for years, the African American community here in the United States were subject to mob rule, were subject to a government that would be hostile to an entire community, that any individual could have an interaction with a white person, and that could be enough to cause several other people in the community to die soon thereafter, to be lynched or mysteriously disappear or have to pack up everything they have and move out of town. That was something that was not unusual. It was a matter of routine. It was a matter of survival for so many people. So, all of these things, but the scale of this, of course, is very large, considering that whole institutions have shut down and such. This is very, very large in terms of scale. So I don't want to uh, speak bad or talk down on it or anything like that. But yeah, but still, it reminds me of Jim Crow United States, where so many people have died, and of course the numbers. The only way we get numbers is sometimes we have to defer to some of the news articles of that era, most of which were not owned by or from papers that were not owned by black people. So that is something else that you have to consider. So, as she said, they know the whole world is watching. My generation had no idea if the world would see what we were trying to do for Iran to bring back democracy for Iran. We felt hopeless. If my generation had the world's support, lovingly looking at what is going on and trying to help as much as possible, I would not have left. I think it was Jalal Square, the main protest square in Iran's capital. And she did mention that um, she was given a couple of pain pills and sent away after getting stitches from being pelted by stones. As a matter of fact, as I'm speaking about her, I really do need to bring her photo up. So let me go through this right here because I just realized I haven't. Anyway, so this is what Jamila Jamil had said to Meghan. She said, I have already settled it for myself. So flattery and criticism go down the same drain, and I am quite free. That was a phrase that I had never heard before. I heard that for the first time today. And apparently, that was something Georgia O'Keeffe said, that flattery and criticism go down the same drain. So that is one that I am going to use every day for the rest of my life, especially when I read through some of the hate comments on Royal Sussex. There's some that I've seen them and I'm just like, wow. But yeah, I will probably have to use that in the future, and just before I block the person. But flattery and criticism go down the same drain. And I love that Meghan knew that. I think that Jamila had put it in a different way, although she meant the same thing. But Meghan just like boom had it just like that. She repeated it word for word, and that was quite impressive. I'll do my best, Lydia. I will do my best. You know what? That just remind me too. I haven't gone through through the blocked people in a while, so I really do need to check on that. B10 Pal says those Iranian men are so disrespectful to their women folks. Sad. Well, B10, I have to say though that during this time of protest, a lot of students, a lot of the, and mind you, you got to remember too that Iran has a very young population in comparison to the Western industrialized world. Their population, the median age is quite young. And there have even been situations where the local authorities, the police, have joined in the fight against the government, you know, death squads that they have put out there to attack these unarmed civilians. So, yeah, there are a lot of young men who do not want their system to carry on the way that it has. There's a big appetite to become more westernized. And again, I hate to say westernized because it makes it seem like our way is the only way, but there is a movement to become more westernized. And one man by himself or a group of men, they're not strong enough to change the way things are. And it's amazing that these girls, these schoolgirls, literally are burning their headscarves to change the way things are. So, um, yes, that I did see that movie, Not Without My Daughter, with Sally Fields, and there is like toxic misogyny in so many of those households there. But I would say that amongst the younger generation, that the men, by and large, want to see change. And I believe that you don't have to have a lot of education to know that so long as women's rights are being suppressed, that the entire society is subject to that same suppression. So um, it can't exist like that forever, especially in this internet age. You cannot have that go on and still be a thriving society. Maria Edwards says, I love when Jamila spoke about Megan's mother nature about yeah spoke about I'm sorry. I love it when Jamila spoke about mother nature and how man just takes and takes and she can't fight back. And yeah, okay, what Maria is saying is that Jamila said that if it was Father Nature, right, or if it was Father Earth instead of Mother Earth, then we would have more respect. But because it is, matriarchal instead of patriarchal, I think I got that right. She said that we feel entitled to just take and take and not respect or replenish or try to preserve or maintain. We just take what we want because we're not taking it from. And that's just like what was it? I believe that one of the reasons why there was such a fight during the w- during the Second World War, one of the things that helped to drive the regime, the Nazi regime during the Second World War, is because they never used the term motherland. They said fatherland. Motherland did not exist in their vocabulary. It was the fatherland. And so when you think about how tenacious some of the fighters were invading and pillaging and such, well, just consider that. Maybe that's why it was so much easier to convince a society that it was the greatest and that there was going to be this 1,000-year Reich or whatever. Maybe that's why that was so easy, is because they wasn't doing this to celebrate the motherland. They was doing this for the fatherland, and so maybe that's why it evolved the way it did. Just something to think about. Let me see. Shirley Kearney says, this woman is so in tune with humanitarian, or should it be with humanitarianism? Princess Meghan is, oh, let me see. So, and uh, is that so in touch with herself? I think it's so in touch with herself. No. Anyway, who she is and kind who she is. Oh, who she is inside. Okay, is that right? She stated how she fought for Princess Meghan before she ever met her. Yeah, she was outraged. Sorry if I messed that up. She was absolutely outraged by the way society, not everybody, of course, but the way society was going along with this narrative from the tabloids. And of course, um, it's what is this thing though about the angry middle-aged white woman? I don't get that. And again, not all white women, obviously, not all middle aged white women, but this thing about the middle aged white woman who is carrying literally carrying the torch for the alt right movement, for the right wing political agenda. I am just so um disappointed by that. I'm so disappointed by that. Um, it's really frightening to look at. It really is frightening to look at because this is the grandmothers of society, you know, part of the grandmothers of society, obviously. And in that, you know, role of being the middle-aged mother type, that you have so little regard not only for a woman of color, but for any woman that has a voice. The only time that they use their voice is to knock down other women, and in particular, women of color. But it's not just black women, although that seems to be a favorite target. But my God, what is this? I mean, when you do the math, when you look at the demographics, it's these middle-aged white women, the Karens, if you will, that is one that I have not sorted out. And when you look at who voted for the Republicans during the last election, it's that MAGA crowd. It's that MAGA crowd. The young women, certainly not. But the older white women, for sure, for certain. And when it comes to the Latino vote, it was about 50-50. So, yeah. And I wonder, well, anyway, I won't say that. I'm trying to figure out where that 50-50s comes from. But I'm pretty sure it has something to do with how you identify yourself in terms of race compared to your authentic self. So I'm pretty sure that plays into it. But kind of like with, oh gosh, who is Nikki Haley? Nikki Haley. Nina Turner has a video where she says Nikki Haley um, literally identifies as Caucasian for certain things. And then, of course, she's not for other things. And if you don't know who Nikki Haley is, you have to look her up. But she's a Republican operative. And yeah, and her identity varies depending on what the politics of the day are. And this is not what other people put down as her identity. This is how she describes herself. So, yeah. Okay. So, Jamila Jamil's partner, James Blake, you may have heard her mention that he's 6'7". Well, I believe she's 5'10" and appears to be of robust health. Oh man, that's how I'll describe her. She appears to be of robust health, and so does he. So that's her partner. So if you heard her mention that he's 6'7" and he can, you know, that he knows how to take my phone away and keep it from me where it's out of reach. Well, now you can understand why, because he's a tall drink of water and seems to have a bit of reach of his own. Okay. So where was I? Let me see. For those, oh yeah, for those unaware of Iran's history, the country hasn't always been run by such an extreme regime. Up until the 1979 Iran enjoyed major allyship with Western democracies. Well, she did mention that is that Iran wasn't always, the way it is now, and that in her lifetime she was able to see things change, and not for the better, of course. Islamic fundamentalists, that's the term that's used in the article. Almost overnight. Okay. Yeah, she says what happened today is beyond belief. Uh, oh yeah, the way she put that thing about uh oh, you know what? I have a slide for that, so I'll just wait till I get to my slide. All right, so moving on. There you have it. Meghan Markle's. Oh, well, this is the article that I'm reading from by Mariana Manson. Meghan Markle's latest podcast features a protester from the original Iranian resistance, and that's her image right there on the right side. Inarguably her most powerful and timely podcast episode yet. Meghan Markle has spoken to two incredible women in a discussion called The Audacity of Activism on how movements for female empowerment have historically been undermined and disproportionately punished to make an example of those on the front line and deter other women from fighting for their freedom. All right, so let me see here. There's a good photo. Well, she's an actress, and if you guys haven't watched the today's Archetype, I never knew who she was, never seen her before, but she has a very distinct voice, and I love to hear her speak. Just like Megan said, she has an incredible voice, and it's a great voice for a character actress, and I don't know that she is a character actress, but her voice is almost a character by itself. So I thought that was pretty cool. Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. And happy Tuesday to you. My God, it is Tuesday, isn't it? Okay. When a woman puts her headscarf in a bonfire, the message is bold, loud, and clear. Leave me alone or kill me. When a 14-year-old, barehanded, unarmed, stands before a whole army and stares into their eyes, it's their eyes saying, "Aren't you ashamed of yourselves?" Now, that was a powerful statement. That was absolutely powerful. Um, and this is what Shola, oh gosh, I hope I'm saying her name right. This is what she said to Megan. It was so incredible to hear her talk about her life. And it must be a privilege. And I believe she said that she and Megan have never met, but Megan said that she was quite a fan of her work. And also, I have to say that Jamila and Megan have only met maybe 3 times, and Jamila mentioned how nice it was that she was able to visit with Megan, and that she was able to feel like this connection with Megan because her husband is, you know, strong in his own right, and that he has a presence in her life, and that he's able to I guess not feel threatened by her activism. Maybe that's what it is. So I think that's what she said. But yeah, it's very nice. I mean, I wish I could have like seen that interaction between the two couples. And yeah, that I thought that was very cool the way she put that. And so yeah, Jamila said that society has this need to destroy or to tear down a powerful woman in order to send a message to the rest of society. And I guess this, you not guess, but I'm sure you could say the same thing about this, like judgment to exterminate 14,000, and is that's the numbers, that people are using, but it could possibly be quite a bit more than that, because the government of Iran has absolutely no pressure to tell a story any other way than what they feel they want the public to know. So that that's their words, and that's the estimate from the people on the ground that are actually fighting against the regime. So I'm going to look at some more of your comments before I move on. Let me see what's coming up next. Well, actually, it's still on the same topic. Wearing the Farsi word women, life, freedom, Meghan stands in solidarity with women and girls in Iran. The Duchess of Sussex was pictured today alongside Archwell President Mandana Dayani and Vice President of Global Communication Ashley Hansen, who are both Iranian. Now, there you go. What a beautiful moment of sisterhood. Love those photos. Love those photos. And in particular, I love this one. What could I say? Megan looks absolutely hot in this photo. I love that. Um, when Megan smiles, her eyes smile right along with her. So that is very cool. Love to see Megan smiling. Black Queen. Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. Black Queen says it's the same like the Black Lives Matter protest when a singular black man and woman would stand in front of the police line and stare them down defiantly. I bet those devils wish they could just crush them. Um, yeah, it's amazing how the police, who in some cases may be neighbors, could dehumanize a group of people so easily and feel this need to crush. And we've seen that time and time again. It almost seems like it doesn't take much encouragement um, by the authorities to get a situation going where you have an armed police officer and civilians, and then suddenly it turns into this bloodbath. And that has happened time and time again here. And that's why I said, reading all of these things and looking at these stories, you can actually hold up a mirror to the way things have developed in the history here in the United States for years. And even with that, I was so surprised that as I spent some time in the UK and I got to know someone that is a historian in the UK, and I learned about some of the race riots that they've had in the United Kingdom, it's almost as though you can lift up a mirror to the United States, or the United States is looking into a mirror of itself when you look at some of the race riots that they've had in the UK. Now, of course, the scale of them have not been as large, but think about this. It was just recently that they had a World Cup, and um, I believe they told black people that if they lose, you should not be on the street tonight. It's not a good night to be out by yourself. And this is modern day United Kingdom. It's not a good night for you to be out by yourself. So um, I'm like, wow, sounds just like America. But because they blamed the three African men of African descent for the loss of one of those games, that it was threatening for someone black to be on the street at night because, um, well, I mean, there was a possibility that a mob might attack you, and I'm just like, wow. And this is what, 2021 was it? Wow. All I can say is wow. So yeah, these things that are happening in other countries, I'm like, wow, it just sounds a lot like the US. Let me see. Baron, the population of Iran is young because of US finance Iraq to exterminate the Iranian people for removing the, is that the Shah that they put in place? What Black Pearl is speaking of is the Iran Iraq War. And yes, I know that very well. And the United States, um, this is what a war of proxy. The best way that I can describe a war of proxy is when you don't fight someone directly, but you will finance and encourage and give logistical support to the enemy of your enemy. And so to punish Iran, to punish Iran for the hostages, um, the Iran hostage crisis, to punish them, the United States went all in with Iraq. And so when there was the Iran Iraq war, the United States gave weapons of mass destruction, finance, and all kind of means of support to Iraq. In other words, Saddam Hussein. And so Saddam Hussein killed more Muslim people than anybody else in history, it is said, because over 1 million Iranians died. And that was a result of the Western intervention. In other words, the United States meddling to punish Iran for the hostage crisis. Now, the hostage crisis, I'll tell you what I remember about that. Iran let all the black people go. They said, "This is not your fight. Go back to America." I'm old enough to remember that. The other thing I remember is, and I always ask people this, when people, okay, let me just say this. I have to say this to people when they are so ignorant about Iran that they bring up the hostage crisis. And when I ask them, how many Americans died in the Iran hostage crisis? And of course, nobody ever knows that number. And the reason why they don't know is because nobody died. Iran, those students that stormed the embassy, was trying to get evidence against the United States government for the way that the Shah of Iran mistreated people there. And so they stormed the embassy, not to kill anybody, but to gather evidence against the United States to prove that the United States was meddling in their affairs in Iran and caused the, should I say, gave the Shah the ability to be very abusive to society. Um, and that is why that happened. And this is the history of Iran that a lot of people in the United States don't know because it's rarely ever discussed. And so, as a war of proxy, as a way to punish Iran, um, again, they helped Saddam Hussein in the Iran Iraq war. Now, I can't remember which is which, but you have the Shiites and the Sunnis. And one government is predominantly Shiite, the other one is predominantly Sunni. And I believe that the Sunnis are predominant in Iraq. Maybe I got that wrong, but anyway, and so the borders that were created by the West to separate and create these borders for the two countries is not exactly the borders that existed. The borders were tribal. It was where people tribally lived that decided, who was in charge. And so when they put up those borders, people had to meld into society and be a part of society to live and prosper. And it's only when stuff like that happens that you realize that they're not all the same, that some people are one sect or tribe or whatever, and then the other side. So anyway, that is one of the problems that and Saddam Hussein wanted to be have like borders that spread all across that region, and he felt as though he was entitled to, and the United States helped him. So that's how that happened. But anyway, thank you, Black Pearl, for bringing that up because, as I said, it's a lot to talk about, and I do know a little bit about it, but we'd be here all day. But that's basically why there's the bad blood between the United States. And so when you heard Barack Obama gave Iran all this money, well, that money was here because of the Shah of Iran. And when the Shah of Iran was in the United States, whoever the government, whether it was a nice government or a bad government, that money belonged to Iran. And we had it here in our Western banks, but that's not where the money belonged. That was their money. They could do stuff with that money. So that is why Obama gave them those, what was it, billions of dollars, because it was their money. It wasn't aid money. It wasn't a loan. It was their money. So again, that's one of those things that because of the right wing, so many Americans are quite ignorant about the history of Iran, but a lot of their problems is because of Western intervention. France, United Kingdom, United States, and then whoever else wants in on the party. So there you go. All right. Thank you, Black Pearl. I appreciate the comment. And you guys thought I was just a pretty face, didn't you? Go ahead, admit it. You guys thought I was just a pretty face. Oh, man. So anyway, let's move on, shall we? This haunting image is one that I had kind of stored away in my photos, but I brought it out today because it just seemed like the right time. When you have women covered up because of the dictates of a government or society, to be an individual is almost unheard of. And this is what the women of Iran is fighting for right now, is to express their individuality, to live free, to be able to prosper with or without a husband, or with or without men, or with or without someone else telling them that they have a right to be different. And so that's what they're fighting for. They're just basically fighting for their freedom. So a lot of people want a chance to be individuals. They want a chance to be free. And there, right there, is an example of a liberated woman and a Stepford wife. So let's get into it. I am going to move on, you guys. All right. Please don't forget to hit that like button. Meghan Markle set bar so high with podcasts. Kate's radio stint is no real comparison. You can say that again. Oh, got a super chat from Joan Garcia. Barron, sadly, Trump and Republicans tried to turn the U.S. into a dictatorship which is hostile to women. Voters weren't buying it. You got that again. You got that again. The young people are going to make all the difference. Thank you so much, Joan Garcia, for the super chat and watching Royal Sussex. Baron Meghan revealed The Handmaid's Tale. Yes, they did speak about The Handmaid's Tale. Let's go back there for a second. Oh gosh, who was the person that wrote that? Atwood or whatever her name is. But yeah, they did talk about The Handmaid's Tale and how this dystopian futuristic society where women had no rights, where women had no rights. And I didn't actually see the program, and of course, I didn't read the book, but it invokes all that kind of stuff. And it was said that the writing of the book, which started in 1979, around the time of the hostage crisis and everything. Um, and for those of you that are too young to remember, Ronald Reagan made some kind of deal, I allege, with the Iranian government. They wanted to punish Jimmy Carter for his intervention and helping the Shah of Iran. So the hostage situation went on for 444 days, and the hostages were released without harm by the Iranians. Their treatment was very mild in comparison to the way people are being treated in Guantanamo Bay. But again, I want to remind people nobody died in the Iran hostage crisis. So just food for thought. But yeah, so that's when the book was written. Meghan revealed that the author of The Handmaid's Tale was based on, yeah, okay, I think that's what I just said. Black Queen, so true. The Church of England, the Episcopalian, and Anglicanism aided the and abetted slavery in the Caribbean. Oh yeah, and you know what else too? Didn't I just see somewhere where they were saying that the Church of England? Oh, I know what it was. If you guys have not seen John Oliver's video, if you guys have not seen John Oliver talking about the British royal family, slavery, and so on, I put it in the community tab. You can go to that link and watch it right now if you like. Oh my God, wasn't that something? That was incredible that he actually went there. And then he even said that the last time he talked about the royals during the Queen's funeral, or during the mourning period, the Mourn Hub, that was it ITV or was it Sky TV actually removed it or whatever, edited part of it so you couldn't hear what he said about the royal family. And just so you know, guys, John Oliver actually turned down an OBE. He refused to accept it. So, about the time when John Oliver was about to get his American citizenship, they offered him that so that, they could have that feather in their cap on his way out. And he refused. Now, his wife wanted to go to Buckingham Palace, and she was upset about it because she wanted, to see everything behind the scene. And he said, no, 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 no. He did not accept the classism and stuff. And so he refused it. So that is, something that you can accredit John Oliver for. Thank you so much, B10 Pow, for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching and being a member of Royal Sussex. And right now, memberships are a bargain at $4.99 because I just can't be bothered creating another level. So it's still a bargain to have a membership with Royal Sussex for just $4.99. Thank you, B10 Pal, and thank you so much for being here. And thank you for clicking on my channel. Okay, so we good? We good? We can go on? All right. So again, no comparison. Meghan has raised the bar, as I said earlier, when it comes to being a royal princess, a duchess, and the modern world. One has to look at Meghan. It shows that, as they used to say in the women's movement, you can have it all. You can have a family, you can have a career, and in Meghan's case, you can be a real philanthropist and a humanitarian, as well as a princess of the realm. So, yes, you can have it all. Here's a photo of Camilla. Now, I can't confirm that this is actually Camilla, but they said that someone on vacation in India at some spa snapped a picture of some drunken old English woman. Uh, Someone snapped a picture of some drunken old English lady who was there for some type of intervention or spa treatment or something. And so again, I can't confirm or deny that that is Camilla or the ghost of Farrah Fawcett or what's going on there. But as you can see, there is a human wrinkled up old tea bag with a cigarette and some whiskey, something that you don't see much in public these days, of the real. So I'm not saying it's her, I'm just saying it's someone who looks like her, just happened to be in India at the same time and just happened to look a lot like her, and that's it. So um yeah, okay. So that's that. And then here, if you have been disappointed as I have by the latest Crown and the one before that, how Prince Charles once joked with the Crown creator and writer Peter Morgan when he was presented with an CBE. Well, again, this is why there was no teeth in that because of this. That's where there was no teeth. They're good buddies. Why they're keeping it in the family, so to speak. So we all got played, you guys. Now I was not surprised that there was no there, and I'm sure a lot of you all felt the same way. We kind of knew that was coming, and they delivered a big, fat, nothing burger. Absolutely nothing. A total waste of time. Beautifully made, very cinematic, and all that kind of stuff. But otherwise, I two big disappointments. The last Downton Abbey, which was barely better than the one before that, or should I say worse than the one before that. And of course, this last season of The Crown, which seemed to elevate Prince Charles's position as the new king. I'm sorry, King Charles' position as the newly minted king, and it didn't hurt him, didn't hurt the Queen, didn't hurt anybody except for the memory of Princess Diana. That was a sharp elbow to the rib cage. Shelley L says these men are basically raised as narcissists and lack empathy. They have no direct connection to creating life, so taking one is inconsequential. Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. Um, especially when they can't identify with the person whose life is being taken. In other words, if you are a person of color and you have a person who is of of a police agency, I'll say a police agency, who happens to be white, and their whole lives they have been told that you're not like them, you don't look like anybody in their family, and there's a good chance that you won't be treated or afforded the same respect of someone that is white or looks like someone in their family. I mean, it's just that is the way it is. That is the way it is. I think that's where a lot of this is rooted, is that if you look at someone's child and you post the thing saying um, royal baby leaves hospital, and it just happens to be a smartly dressed couple and a chimpanzee, something tells me that you don't see black people or people of African descent as your equal. And therefore, it is so easy for you to mistreat them or even watch them die, even at your own hand. I mean, that's a big no brainer. Um, that is pretty much the way it is. And it's not to say that all police officers are bad or that all middle aged white women that are Republicans seem to have it in for people of color or people they deem as woke or anybody who wants a right to choose. But overwhelmingly, the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. I believe those statistics are quite accurate. And overwhelmingly, older white women voted in this midterm election for the people they identified with more so than they have voted for a black woman running for senator in Florida or a black man who's not, you know, carrying water for the Republicans in Georgia and so on. So, and even a white person who they can't stand their politics because they seem to identify or have sympathy or care or affection for people of color, then they get the same treatment. So very interesting. But that's one that I'm going to have to work on because I'm trying to figure this out. That disconnection where you deem someone's humanity is not worthy of your care or concern, or that they basically don't have a right to live. That is rather confusing to me. That people can have that kind of hostility for someone they don't even know. Someone they don't even know. Oh man, I tell you what a midterm this has been. Raised as narcissists and lacked empathy. Oh, yeah, that describes a lot of the power elite. That describes Suella Braverman. It really does. She seems to be a narcissist that lacks empathy. Boris Johnson, Donald Trump seems to be a narcissist that lacks empathy. And of course, Trump, known as a bully. Boris Johnson, after you hear his bio, of course, or read his bio, known as a bully. Known as a bully. He himself comes from a Turkish family, and every bit the right winger. Oh man, I don't even want to think about those people. But thank you so much, Shelly Allen. Thank you so much for the super chat. I do have a lot to think about. I do. This midterm election, I didn't say much about it, but I've seen an ugliness that I hate to even recognize exists, but it is just that there's a ugliness, there's a cruelty and evil in this society, and it is persistent, it's patient, and they don't mind suppressing the rights of others, and they don't necessarily want to preserve the lives of others. They have their own agenda, and if you don't fit into it, they don't think you deserve to exist. All right, so Princess Anne and Prince Edward are proposed as extra counselors of state who can act on behalf of the king. So Harry and is not supposed to do that, or they don't want him to do it. He is still a counselor of state, whatever they say, but they added two more. Now the tabloids wanted us to believe that Harry was somehow being pushed aside for the sake of Annie and um, Edward. But number one, who cares? Number two, they ain't likely to ever do anything because Camilla will do it. And if Camilla is unable to do it, then, William will do it. This is a ceremonial position, it has no relevance. And I'm glad that they don't want Harry involved with it because just imagine if Charles III had some reason to do something in the United States, and he wants to virtue signal by involving Prince Harry or obliging Prince Harry to be a counselor of state on his behalf or something. I don't even want to see that happen. I think it's just a waste of time and a waste of energy. Okay, Melissa Murray. As you guys know, Professor Melissa Murray is a squatty. Yes, she is a squatty, as evident by the sign that she has in her office. See the sign behind her? The sign says that she is a squatty. I can prove it.
Lightning round because I can't get it out of my mind. Melissa, to you first. I'm looking in the upper right hand behind you. Is that a giant picture of Meghan Markle? And I also want to know, on your pineapple pillow, what does it say?
So I think the pineapple pillow is a room raider pillow. And yes, that is a giant head of Meghan Markle.
That's fantastic. And to Jackie, you know the question coming.
Yes, Melissa Murray, Professor Melissa Murray is a squatty. And just the other day, she was on television. And if you look, there's that sign that says Team Meghan and Harry. Gotta love it. Team Meghan and Harry. Melissa Murray. Professor Melissa Murray, who I think herself is of mixed race, is also a squatty. Well, she supports the Sussexes, and that's all I care about is that she supports the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So thank you, Professor Melissa Murray. And I don't know if you guys have done your DNA yet, but I'm going to do mine again. At least I'm going to go and look at my ancestry.com. I want to know if Nick Cannon is my father, because they say by the year 2050, the National Geographic has determined what Americans will look like in 2050. And it's beautiful, isn't it? Yes, by 2050, we're all going to look like Nick Cannon. We're all going to look like a chip off the old Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon, by that time, will have fathered nearly all the children. Will have fathered nearly all the children in these United States. So check your DNA. You may actually have some of that Cannon blood and don't even know it. So it's okay. I mean, we'll all be as one, and there will be no hunger or thirst because there is going to be a nation of one Nick Cannon. Oh, man. And of course, one of the busiest times is when Nick Cannon taking his kids to the pool. Now, you got to find a pretty big swimming pool to hold up all those Cannon kids. But yeah, if Nick Cannon takes his kids to the pool, there won't be much water left in the pool. It's all going to get pushed out. So, and sad news. Um, the oldest woman who probably ever visited the White House at the age of 106, she just died at age 113. Yes, this lady, you may remember from her visit to the White House some years ago, back in 2006, Virginia McLaren. Virginia McLaren, that's her name. At 106 years old, she literally came in there hopping and dancing with the black president and his black wife, as she said. She was so happy that the president in her lifetime, she was able to live long enough to see a black president. And so at an age of 106, when she celebrated her 106th birthday, she went to the White House to meet Barack and Michelle Obama. And she came in there hopping and dancing and everything. So you could see Michelle took her hand and started dancing with her, and she ran over and gave Michelle a big hug and everything. It was very sweet. So um, that was one of my favorite moments of the Obama White House. And of course, what's the secret to still dancing at 106? That is the question that Barack Obama asked of Virginia. And here you can see her say, I am so happy to be in the White House. She thought she would never go to the White House, and let alone the fact that she would ever meet a black president and a black first lady in the White House. So, again, room for celebration by all. And here's some pictures of Virginia when she was young. I mean, this woman was born in 1906. And so in the roaring 20s, 1906, 1926, so she was in her 20s back in the roaring 20s. I mean, she lived through the Art Deco age. She survived the first global pandemic, and she survived the second global pandemic. She's seen Haley's Comet come and go twice. So she's lived through a lot. She lived through the First and Second World War. She was able to see a man go on the moon. All those things. And she survived it. So at an age 113, she just passed away. But she was well into her, I think she was still walking at 107. The last photo I seen of her, she was still walking and still dancing. Miraculous. Also, I would like to say, I'll parrot this comment. Meghan Markle is the British royal family scapegoat. And that has been the way it has been, but it won't always be that way. They are not always going to be, well, at least in particular, Meghan will not always be the royal family scapegoat. If you see here, there is Prince Harry. This is one of those unseen photos from the Pearl Harbor visit. Just saw this one today. If you guys recall, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, made a visit to Pearl Harbor. And, well, anyway, that is one of the photos that I haven't seen yet. So I thought I would share it with you all here on Royal Sussex. So there you have it. And let me see. Let me find the other photo from Pearl Harbor. Is this it? Nope, that's not it. I want to bring up those other photos from Pearl Harbor so you guys can see that again, just to review. Well, let me see. These are not Pearl Harbor. Nope, that's not it. That is not it. Anyway, you guys saw them already, so I wanted to share them with you, but I don't know what I did with them. That's from another slide. But that's it for today, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you all so much for watching Royal Sussex. Also, thank you for your very kind donations. It's greatly appreciated. And also, I received a PayPal while I was talking. Thank you so much, DR. Thank you so much for the PayPal and for your continued support for Royal Sussex. And happy Tuesday to you. Thank you, moderators, for keeping this a safe space. And B10, I'm so glad you're here. Usually you're not able to join us because of your work schedule, but you are here today, and I am ever so grateful. Oh, thank you, Sonia Johnson. I appreciate it. And here, oh my God, I can barely see that. What was I thinking? If it costs you your piece, then it's too expensive. Now, I showed you guys all those illustrations the other day, and somehow this one eluded me. But if it costs you your piece, then it's too expensive. one of the squatties posted this on the Twitter, and it looks like that artwork from that particular squatty that has done so many of these amazing illustrations that has been shared by the Sussex squad. Um, and then, of course, I love this one. I paired up this photo with this blue and black background. Looks amazing. I love that. It just really highlights the photo very well. But yeah, that's one of my favorite things is just looking at images of our Sussex family and just remembering that there are no leaks in Montecito and that we are on the right side of history because we are supporting the two most popular royals and the two most influential, what should I say, the most influential couple in the world right now. And for that reason, they are receiving that Ripple of Hope Award. They're going to receive all kind of honors and everything, but that's not the important part. It's not how people celebrate the work that they're doing. What's important is that they have the ability and the means to do the work, and thanks to the Sussex squad, they're not likely to ever suffer from that same abuse that cost Princess Diana her life because uh, they got us on their side. And if you guys are not sure that we're really making a great contribution, just consider how tough things would be if we weren't here. Just think how tough things would be if we were not here. So, to all the content creators, thank you so much, especially people who have established their channels less than a year ago. Thank you so much. And I will continue to highlight the other Sussex Squad channels as much as possible because we need this community to grow because we are just like the last safeguard for the Sussexes when it comes to the bitter, nasty, hateful, evil tabloid press and that institution that seems to be out to get them. But the one thing that they didn't know about was the Sussex squad. And still, they are trying to figure out who is this Sussex squad? Where do they come from? Where is it? Where do they draw their power from? I'll tell you where we get our power, where we get our strength. It's a much higher power than whatever they have in those tabloids. We're not on the dark side. So anyway, thank you guys. I am going to look for a last comment, and then I am so gonna gingervenge out of here. Uh, that's it. You guys hit that like button on your way out. Please hit that like button. If I could quote Miss Faye Dunaway in the movie Mommy Dearest, I don't ask you for much, girl. Yes, if I could quote Miss Faye Dunaway in the movie Mommy Dearest, I don't ask you for much, girl. Or do you guys want me to do the ballroom scene? Don't mess with me, fellas. This ain't my first time at the rodeo. Oh, man. B10 says, Baron, I was with you when you were becoming Royal Sussex. I was crazy for this channel to succeed. And it has my brother. My job is demanding around November to April. I may not be in, but my heart is. Aw, thank you, B10. Thank you so much, and thank you for being a constant support to this channel. It is greatly appreciated. But yeah, it's been an incredible like time in my life um working on this channel. It wasn't what I expected at all. I thought I was going to just do a travel channel. And I said, well, why don't I do that Sussex thing so I can like learn the skills and this and that? I didn't think that the channel would grow as fast as it has grown, and I didn't see any of that coming. And to have a video with over 1 million views, that was just like shocking. But and here we are, uh, not so much longer than what, about a maybe a year and a half. Yeah, it took me a year and a half to get to this point. And before that, for like a whole year, the channel was just lying dormant and neglected. And I just couldn't wrap my brain around doing any work with it. And then when I finally committed April 15th of 2021, then all of a sudden the channel just kept growing and growing. So glad, happy. I'm feeling the love, and it has been uh, very interesting. Very interesting. It's been a thrill, actually. So yeah, thank you guys. Oh, thank you, Black Queen. Hey, Sean, I didn't know you were on here. Don't think she said. Oh, yeah, she said, "Don't mess with me, fellas." Say my first time at the rodeo. Christina, Christopher, bring me the axe. What a funny movie. Okay, Sash says, to God be all the glory for all the great things he has done. Well, that looks like a last word to me. Thank you so much, Sash. And with that, we are going to celebrate our two queens, our queen of hearts and our queen of everything. And then, of course, we are going to ginge avenge ourselves out of here. I can't believe I have been on for 2 hours. Where did the time go? It's already 6 p.m. You know what? My maintenance person faked me out. I was supposed to get some plumbing work done today, and they never showed up. And I didn't want to start working and, have to stop in the middle of it. So, anyway, I'm not going to let that happen tomorrow. Either you show up and you do the work, or don't come around here anymore. No, actually, I need the work done, so I'm gonna be cool. After I get the repair done, then I'll start talking crazy. Baron, I've been listening to you for a while, and I do work after after retirement, and I have a son who was born with epilepsy. So you do help my days sometimes go by laughing. Oh, thank you so much, Joy. Well, I'm glad to be here for you, and I say it so many times, but anytime someone tells me that Royal Sussex is in the background, or I listen to you while I'm doing the dishes or laundry or cooking dinner or whatever, that is a huge honor to me, knowing that somewhere in the background you're listening to me singing and having a good time, or celebrating the Sussexes or whatever. I'm always glad for that. That makes me very happy. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Um, that is the effect that I was hoping for. Oh, the book is even better, huh? Well, I saw some interviews with that Christina Crawford, and I have to say, I think she's a little wacky herself. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the book must have been amazing, because the movie got way too campy. And if there was like any real uh, things of redeeming social value in the book, I'm pretty sure a lot of that was lost in translation with the movie. So, oh, oh, you're in Barbados, right? I am making dinner and listening to you. Oh, thank you, Gwendolyn Daniels. I'm so glad. I'm sorry, Gwendolyn Jackman. Gwendolyn Jackman, not Daniels. Uh, or am I thinking Jack Daniels right now? Maybe that's it. Maybe I need a drink. Maybe that's why I slipped and said uh, Daniels. I'm thinking Jack Daniels. And on that note, actually, I don't have any hard liquor here, but I do have several bottles of wine for medicinal purposes, I assure you. Okay, who else is on right now? Because you guys bailed out kind of fast, some of you. So that must mean that there's somebody else streaming right now. Who else is on right now? Let me see. Let me check my. Oh, Sharian was on, I see. Right? Oh, what about Duchess of Success? Is she on? 9 a.m.? Okay, so she's not on. Very well then. I guess I'm flying solo tonight, huh? All right. I'm all by myself. All by myself. I want to be all by myself anymore. When I was young, I never needed anyone. And I forgot the words. I get loud on the parts I know. All by myself. Don't want to be all by myself anymore. Okay. Let me see. Oh, like Anita Baker said, you bring me joy. After seeing what these lizards write and say about our faves. Oh, Reba, don't make me sing. You bring me joy when I'm down. So much joy. Please don't make me sing. But yes, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you, and I'm glad that I can be of service. Uh, keep talking. Seriously? Okay. No, I'm just kidding. I'm about to get off of here. Yeah. I've been sitting too long. My behind is starting to hurt. Oh man, I cannot believe I'm a year older. Um, I keep thinking, gosh, your birthday was just what, 12 days ago. 14 days ago it was your birthday. I cannot believe it. How did I get so old? Anyway, I'm glad to be here, but gosh, when did that happen? I mean, I went to bed and I woke up, I was a year older. Amazing. So if the 50s is this weird, what is the 60s going to be like? Oh, well, I'll have to wait and see. No wire hangers ever. I buy you beautiful dresses and you hang them up like they were rags. Get out of that bed. Yes, you're right. 35 is not that old. It's not. And since I have been 35 for some time now, it really is not that old. 35 is the new 19. Yeah. Oh, what is that? The 60s are like a psychedelic wildflower? Really? Okay. Okay. Well, I tell you what, I look in the mirror, I stand in the mirror naked, and I say to myself, gravity is a mother. Gravity has been pulling and yanking and stretching and misshaping parts of me for years. And I'm really, really kind of ticked off about it. Gravity is, I mean, if we were in the weightlessness of space, would gravity still do stuff that it's doing to our bodies? I think not. I would love to see my body naked in the weightlessness of space. Of course, I could always jump in the swimming pool. Yes, gravity is the enemy. Gravity and too much sun exposure. Although my skin still looks pretty good for my age, I I've never been able to grow like a full beard or anything, so I don't have, that going on. And when I shave, I don't get like the razor bumps or anything like that. So yeah, my skin doesn't have a bad reaction to shaving. It has a bad reaction if I don't shave what little beard that I have. It starts itching when it grows back, and I hate that. But and I still have a pretty good hairline, so I got that going for me. So all is not lost. And as for teeth, I went and got a few more of those. So you can buy some new teeth, I found out. Um, who is Bootsy? Bootsy Collins? Bootzilla? That's Bootsy, right? Bootsy Collins. Yabba dabba doozy, baby bubba. However whatever he used to say in that song. Yabba dabba doozy, something like that. Oh man, I tell you, I know sometimes I am so full of those pop culture references from my youth. But yeah, a lot of that, you know what, guys, I was a real nerd growing up, and I used to watch ABC World News Tonight, and I always wanted to, like, learn what was going on in the world. And yeah, so a lot of that stuff, like the Iran-Iraq War, the Falkland Island War, and all that stuff, I remember that from when it happened, because like when I would go to school, when the teachers would try to talk to us about things to do with history and whatever, it was I was like always that one who would put my hand up because I knew a lot of the stuff that the teacher was talking about. But that's I guess that's like the big contradiction with my personality, is that on the one hand, I have a very fun loving spirit, but on the other hand, I am quite studious when it comes to history. And you guys know architecture is probably my first love. And so yeah, I'm just a bit of a nerd about that kind of stuff. Um, yeah, but yeah, it's just like it's like a lifelong habit or whatever. And then sometimes I'll meet people, and like just talking to me, they're like, "Do you teach school?" I'm like, I would have never made it through the English portion of a college education, so no, I don't teach school. I think I had an English teacher that put a hit out on me. No, I haven't. I'm not a teacher. I mean, I did have some college, but I didn't finish. But when I went to I took a tour bus in Paris, and there were two tours on the bus. There was the one that played through the headphones, and then there was my tour. So I was like talking to some Americans that I met, and I started like talking about a few things I was interested in, and they were like, "Well, maybe we don't need to listen to the tour bus. We'll just talk to you." I'm like, "Oh, no, 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 no. I mean, I know a few things, but certainly not as much as what's on the thing. So you should probably listen to that." Oh man. Maybe that's why my let me see. The way these kids are nowadays, Marshard. No, no, no. Teachers don't make enough money. Teachers do not make enough money. They should really invest more into education. They should pay teachers what they pay, say, a nurse. The teachers ought to make as much, all teachers. And whether or not they give the teachers a proficiency exam or not. I think they should, just to make sure the kids are really learning. But, not everybody is going to be a good teacher, and not everybody is going to be a good doctor or lawyer or whatever. Um, but for people that, let's say, teaching is their calling, I mean, I have no doubt that I would at least manage to hold the interests of my students and they will learn something. But temperamentally, I don't think that it would be good for me because, God, I think I would be a little bit too impatient, probably. Although, I mean, okay, I have managed in the workplace where I've had like kids just out of high school that I was managing in a retail situation. And every so often, like on social media, one of the young people will reach out to me, and I guess I must have made an impression on them or whatever. And even while working in the same place and being like a management in these workplaces, um, there would always be like a few that it wasn't so much about me telling you how to be a good employee as I would kind of do that. What do you call that guy? Oh, Mr. Thackeray. I would do like the Sidney Poitier into Sir with Love, and maybe that's why I love that movie so much. But it wasn't so much that I want to teach you how to use a cash register or whatever. I want to teach you how to be a good employee and how to relate to people in the workplace, because to me, I feel like as as I'm a manager, right? And as I'm teaching these kids about their their um obligations in the workplace, I also feel obliged to teach them a thing or two about life so that, even when you do go to college and finish and all that kind of stuff, at least you have the benefit of whatever I can teach you about life itself so that you can be productive in society, and not just for a kid from a poor family, but some of the rich kids too. I've worked at a place where these kids were like, oh man, they came from Downton Abbey like families, but yet they needed intervention just as much as someone from a poor family, if not more, because of the pressures of success that were resting on them to achieve, and in some cases they had to work hard to get their scholarships because maybe their parents were living above their means and were dependent upon those scholarships for them to get a good education. So I would like to think that I have been a teacher um, in different parts of my life, but as for a classroom, I don't think I would want that. I don't think I want that pressure on me, especially nowadays. Kids are mean. Oh man, what are you guys talking about? Atomic Dog? Are we still talking about Bootsy Collins? Let me see. I love Bootsy Collins, George Clinton, Parliament, Funkadelic. Those guys were awesome. Yeah, they were. I remember that song, Flashlight. Who sang Flashlight? La da da dee da 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 da. And what was that song? Did he say I pledge allegiance to the nation or something under the funk? Oh man, it's all running together on me right now. Oh my Shar, now you're making me feel bad, but that's true. Our schools need more black men as teachers, and them, Baron, you are knowledgeable. Oh, Marshar, thank you for that. But ooh, these kids nowadays, um, can I just pay somebody? Can I just pay somebody? Now, okay, I'm going to tell you what I've done. I think maybe there was just this one time I was in one of the Dollar Trees and I saw this lady putting all these school supplies in her shopping cart, right? And I said, "Are you a school teacher?" She's like, "Yeah." And she was telling me that her class, she was buying these supplies for her class. And so I actually offered to pay for, and I that was so long ago. I can't remember if I did, if she accepted the offer or not, but I do remember that I offered to pay for the supplies because, a lot of these teachers, especially in inner city schools, a lot of them are using their own meager salaries to pay for the school supplies. And so realizing that I remember I offered to pay for it, but I don't remember if she accepted or not. That was, gosh, that was so long ago. I hadn't even thought about that in years until this conversation. But I mean, there's other ways to help without actually, but I try to reach out to the young people when I can, but I don't want to do it for a living. I don't want to do it for a living, but some things that I have knowledge of, I do try to explain it in detail when asked. Uh, Let me see. Mad World says, Baron, you also have to deal with what you can and cannot teach. To oh yeah, that's true. That's true. It's just like the comedy clubs. Everybody is under more scrutiny, especially now that there's the camera phone. Huh? This is interesting. This just popped up. It's time to call out all light skin bias on Instagram. Anti blackness feels like a gut punch that leaves you quietly gasping for air and still runs rampant online. So this just popped up on Huffington Post. I just saw this pop up. Let me see here. Early this year, when the news broke that a AI generated robot um, makes what is this called? Makes some kind of sign and Capitol Records music group social media all but lost it with oh gosh, I can barely see that. I don't know what it has to do with Capitol Music, but anyway, well, that just popped up on my thing here, Huffington Post. I didn't know that that was a thing on Instagram. Okay, I did not know that that was a thing. I'm trying to make the text larger so I can see it. At a short glance at any content featuring the character was enough to know the move was once again about the profitability of black culture backed by harmful stereotypes about my community. Huh, that's interesting. Well, I have to look at that later. Really, the Nixon administration, um oh wait, that's not it. Where's that at? Okay, the Nixon administration had thousands of black PhD teachers fired. I did not know that. Mercedes Todd says they're having a resurgence of COVID in places like California and Washington. are some of the states that are paying that kind of money. Nurses working. Oh yeah, I heard that there's a need for nurses. Okay, you guys, I am going to ginger venge and get out of here because we're going on 2.5 hours, and I need to make some dinner myself, which is weird because I didn't even have lunch, so I am kind of hungry. I was waiting for the repair person to arrive, but apparently he'll be back tomorrow. I'll be there at between 2 o'clock, maybe even 4 o'clock. Or do you want me to come tomorrow? I said, no, you come back at 2 o'clock, knowing I got to work, right? And well, anyway, I guess it's gonna be tomorrow. Bye, Judy Rigo. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Bye, Phyllis Johnson. So long, all. I need to go over there and listen to you guys. I just love Sherry and Sade. She is so professional. I love her channel. Um, I'm so like amazed at the quality of her channel. You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, not that it shouldn't be, but I mean, it's just like she has everything so well put together. And I'm just like, how long have I been doing this? How long have I been doing this? I mean, it's just like incredible. But yeah, she's very good. I mean, and very. I like to just listen to her talk. She's so good. Dara Edgehill said, there is a podcast that I listen to, and the school where her children attend asks other parents who can afford to donate extra school supplies so any child in the class not able can get supplies. Oh, that's very cool. I need to do that again. I need to do that again because I would like to do that. I mean, they probably have something where you can adopt a class or whatever. They got to have something like that. Um, I want to do something like that, like adopt a class anonymously, of course, because I don't want to be bothered with them kids. But I don't want to be bothered with them. But I would like to do the supplies or whatever. So I'm gonna look into that. Um, can you guys hear me? Did I say that out loud? Did I say that out loud? Can y'all hear that? But seriously, I don't feel like being bothered with them. But if I could just, like anybody else, if I could just give them the money and move on, I'd rather do that. Cuz kids are mean. Kids are mean. They're so mean. And I don't want them to be mean to me or make fun of me or something. So how about if I just cut a check and pretend like I don't nothing happened, right? Right. Um that's the best way to deal with them is just cut a check and move on. Leave it to the rest of the adults to sort it out. I can't be bothered. Do you know, like when I'm in a public space, you know how kids be hopping around and have all that energy? My arms kind of draw in up to my chest, and they make me so nervous when they do that. I hate when I go places and little kids are like running and almost running into me and bouncing off of me. Oh, I cannot stand that. That makes me nervous. And not just, don't get me wrong, it's not that I got it in for kids, but I'm always afraid that I'm going to bump into them or knock them over or step on their little feet or something like that. And I don't last thing I want to do is cause any kind of harm to anybody, let alone a child. So when they're running around with all that energy like that, I get so nervous. So nervous. So I just kind of it's almost like I feel like the Frankenstein monster. My arms are tucked in and I'm looking around like, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Seriously. That is my reaction. I'm like, please don't touch me. And their little hands are sticky because they never wash their hands, and they can like mess up a food bar, a buffet table or something like that. Their little hands are always sticky. They're always running and bumping into you. They're always asking you questions. But why? But why? But why? Oh, I can't take it. I can't take it. So, anything that I can do to avoid those situations, um, I'm trying to think, where was I at? And I saw kids coming, and I think I turned around and left. I don't know if it was like a grocery store or what, but yeah, I'm not. That's not unusual for me. Um, and like sometimes, well, let me stop. Let me stop. But maybe I drink too much coffee or something, but my nerves can't handle that kind of fidgety energy like that. I can't handle it. So, um, you know what I mean? That I think if I was rich, I would probably keep. Uh, I guess like before the child is even born, I would probably start looking through boarding schools or something. That's what boarding schools are for. A boarding school and a nanny, au pair, governess, whatever you want to call it. That is the way to raise children. That's the best way to do it is to use a nanny and boarding schools and stuff like that, and then you'll be okay. Yeah, you'll be okay. But to have to put that much energy into it, I just don't think it's worth it for my nerves. So, um, oh, B10, they don't like touch you with their little sticky hands and ask you a million questions. They don't do that to you. Because their hands are never clean. You know that, don't you? Their hands are all, and even you could watch them wash their hands, and it's like, especially the smaller the child, the bigger the soap. See, they have that bar of soap, and they just twisting the soap around, and their hands never get clean. So their hands never get clean, and they always touching stuff and moving stuff and rearranging stuff, knocking stuff over, spilling stuff. Who needs that kind of energy? I can't. Oh, that makes me nervous. And then I'm like watching because I'm like, they about to knock that over. Watch he knock that down. See, I knew that was gonna happen. I'm not good with that kind of stuff around me. Yeah. If you all like that in your lives, fine. But I don't think I could take it. I would be I'm kind of like Oprah. Oprah's like that with kids where Oprah kind of have kids afraid cuz she just kind of looks at them. Well, I tend to just try not to even be around them because their hands are not clean. They're always messing with stuff. They keep asking questions, and they always say, "Let me do it. Let me do it." Or like when I watch a movie and they say, "Okay, now make sure you stay here. And then the kid like gets out of the seat and walk across the highway to the store, and the adult ends up getting hit by a truck or something because they're trying to save the kid. That's because they always meddling and doing stuff. they'll get you hurt for real. So I'm sorry, but that kind of energy just, I don't know how people do it. Yeah. Oh well. But if you don't mind, like little smudges all over your furniture and on your TV and on anything shiny, if you don't mind milk being running off the side of the table and crumbs, if you don't mind crumbs everywhere and you know all that kind of stuff and water all over the sink when they wash their hands. If you're okay with that, then fine. But it's too much for me. Um yeah, it's just too much for me. Oh, yes, when they hollering. Yes, Lord, when them kids get to screaming and hollering and and it always starts off with put that down. And next thing you know, there's the screaming and hollering and then the parents are yelling some more and oh good Lord. I'm just like, who brought a child? Whose kid is that? Uh Legs? I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. I don't like nervous energy. I don't. And I don't like being around people that are nervous. And I don't like being around people that are nervous of me. And so I guess I pick up on that and then it just makes me retreat. I don't like nervousness and I don't like all that frantic, unpredictable stuff. That is, yeah, I don't like all that. I like things very, and you would never know that I used to go out dancing to the nightclubs and stuff like that. Oh, I tell you, I was the life of the party, but I guess maybe I'm getting older and my nerves are bad or something. But yeah, that's a little bit too much for me. I like things very sedate and cerebral and you know, kind of like a day in the country instead of that. But that being said, I have to tell you, I love big cities. I love all the noise and everything of a big city. But long as nobody's little child come up and put their little sticky hand on me, I'm fine. I'm fine. Long as nobody comes and bump into me and stuff like that and ask me a million questions, I'm cool. Let me see. No way. No way. I couldn't be bothered. Because I would worry too much. The thing is, I would worry too much. And that's what it is that I would worry too much. Like when I was dog sitting a couple weeks ago, when I was dog sitting, I never let the dog out the door without her um leash. I make sure that anything that is harmful is out of the way, and you know, and as many times as she stayed here, um, I never gave her table food. They told me never give her table food, and I never gave her table food until the last visit. And then, as I have gotten a little more courageous, I've actually like given her some table food. But other than that, I wouldn't do it because I didn't want anything to go wrong. So anyway, but yeah, so that's my complex is I'm a bundle of nerves. I'm at that age now where I am just a bundle of nerves and I'm always nervous something is going to go wrong and all that kind of stuff. So I I have developed this nervousness when it comes to little ones being around me. Let me see. I grew up in a multi generational house, and that is how I felt. But after having my own, I just wanted space. But now I realize how precious those moments were. Yeah, I can understand that, Lex. I can understand that. Uh, Things change. Things will definitely change. So, thank you also, Lex, for the super chat, and thank you so much for being here on Royal Sussex. And so, with that, you guys, now that you guys know what makes me nervous and skittish and freaked out. I remember I went into work one day and I come in, I'm all like smiling and happy and glad I made it to work on time. And one of the supervisors, I walked in and all of a sudden there was the twins were there. And I was like, huh. And she used to threaten me all the time. She said, Baron, I'm going to have you babysit one day. I'm like, not me. Well, fortunately, those kids are grown now and got little mustaches. The last time I saw them on social media, but yeah, it was so weird because whereas I was walking in and I was all happy and everything, as soon as I saw the kids in there, all of a sudden I hurried up and got what I needed and went out to work. I was like, I'll see y'all later. But yeah, that was funny. But yeah, it's just weird how the energy changes. And then when people the kids are yelling and stuff and they act like they don't hear it, I'm like, don't you hear that? Oh, the kids are screaming and hollering and stuff, and the parents they just tune it out. I'm like, but I still hear it. Doesn't that bother you? Oh man. Oh well. That's what headphones are for. I always make sure I have my noise canceling headphones when I'm on public transportation. So that way, whatever's going on around me, I don't have to hear it at all. So that is my secret to being in those spaces is wear noise canceling headphones, and you'll be okay. Oh, let me see. Okay, guys. Love you guys. I'm gonna Ginge Avenge, and then I am not coming back after Ginge Avenge. I will see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow. Isn't that Annie? Annie's a kid. I love your tomorrow. You're only a day away. Tomorrow. Tomorrow, I love your tomorrow. You're only a day of. And what about the goldfish? They always dropping them little goldfish crackers everywhere, and Oh, they could mess up a car. Ooh, Lord, they could mess up a car. It'd be crumbs and French fries and oh man, they could tear up a car, can't they? And those little juice boxes, the little straws always be what they do is they pull the straw out and then they just gnaw on it for about 2 hours. And then next thing you know, you be done ran your hand in the little back pocket of the seat or something, and there's a straw from a juice box or some of them goldfish crackers. I mean, it's never ending. It's never ending. I mean, they leave stuff everywhere. Yep. Or you step on them those Lego blocks. You know, you be walking and all of a sudden, ugh, you done stepped on a Lego block. It's always something. Oh, okay. And so on that note, good night, everybody.